There you go. So we can basically edit out all of this crap in the beginning anyway. So just kind of leave it on.
See what it sounds like.
Yeah.
How sexy is my voice?
Yeah. All right. So I think it's ready.
Cool.
All right. So this is let's do the quick intro. This is Rough Conversations, podcast number 2.
Number 2.
With Brad and George.
That's it.
And I'm Brad.
And I'm George.
Yeah. So cool, guys. Basically what this is all about is, the premise of this is we were having a conversation the other night, George and I, and that's when we recorded the first podcast. And we've been talking about it for a little while. We often talk about quite a lot of stuff. Some of it a little bit deeper than others. Some of it, some people might find redundant. But generally we find that it's stuff that goes on in everyday life with ourselves and with probably a lot of other people. So while we were having the conversation, we thought, let's record it, right?
Yeah.
And this is number 2.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we've got something specific we wanted to talk about today. But I think it's a good idea we do a little sort of recap on the first podcast.
Yeah.
And if you've listened to that one, then you'll know what it's about. And it was about how generally we as guys and females and just human beings in general tend to have a preconceived idea of what we like in people that we're attracted to.
And number 1 being the physical appearance
of
people, ladies.
That's it.
Ladies.
Yeah. Sorry, coughing all over the place here and getting ready, but that's what it's about. So it's quite random, really. It's just about having a conversation, and we're going to talk about the things that we normally talk about, and we're just going to record it and we're going to podcast it. So in that one, it was about, this. I was having this thing where there's this girl, and she's really quite nice and relatively attractive, but there was a certain part of her physical aspect and all of that I wasn't quite sure about. And it was just a sort of preconceived idea of what I thought I liked and so on. So we had a chat about that. So go back and listen to that one if you haven't had a chance yet. It'll be on the Facebook page. It's also on SoundCloud. There'll be links. We've now set up a Twitter account and everything. So we're looking good for all the comments and feedback as well, because it's important to us that, we get the interaction.
And, this is life-changing stuff, and, we want to make sure that...
Life-changing chit-chat. I mean, it's...
Life-changing chit-chat. There we go.
Is it going to change your life? Isn't it going to change your life? How's it going to change your life? It might only be in a little while. It might just change your mood for good or bad, really, in a moment. So it's all quite rough at the moment, because what we're doing is we're just sitting here recording on a computer. So there's a few maybe external background noises and things like that, but, that's okay.
It adds to the what's what I'm looking for?
I don't know, dude. What is the word you're looking for?
It adds to the original the flavor of it.
So
it's
how raw
got
it
this
actually is.
raw, and it's
So we will eventually talk about maybe some things more important or whatever. But today is what was interesting is after the first podcast we had a chat yesterday. And while it may have come across and sounded a little bit superficial, I think in there were some real challenges.
Yeah.
And things that possibly a lot of people face on an everyday basis. And after that, for example, I was telling you I was coming back on a train from West Croydon yesterday. And this sort of slightly larger woman that I'm generally used to being attracted to sat down opposite me. And just after having spoken it out, and then having walked around, mulling it around in my mind and thinking about it, obviously I'm paying a little bit more attention to it now. So while I've maybe felt a bit douchey talking about it in the first place, it really sparked something. It was the catalyst to me paying a little bit more attention to how I feel about it. And she sat down and she was very attractive. She carried herself well. And I just looked at her slightly differently. Not that I would want to jump in the sack with her or anything like that. But, I always walk around generally and try to appreciate people more for what they are, as opposed to being judgmental. But just the mere fact of talking about it, having had the conversations,
started turning some things in your mind there. Yeah.
Absolutely, I paid a bit more attention to it. I was like, really, this woman's actually quite beautiful. She's very beautiful, you know. And I paid more attention to more than just the aesthetics, you know. And she was sitting very well. She was carrying herself well. She was dressed well, and overall, she just looked like a nice person, who I thought and felt didn't deserve to be judged in any particular way at all, or any way. Never mind any particular way. So it was quite I'd like to say an eye-opening moment. That would maybe make it sound like that's the first time I've felt that way, but I haven't. So, you know, I mean, I try to be as decent a person as possible. But you were saying that your experience yesterday was quite similar.
Yeah, there was... because this conversation that we had from our first podcast, you know, like physical appearance and how important it is. And, you know, yesterday I had a similar situation, but the way that I perceived it, the way that I looked at this particular woman wasn't in a way where like, oh, wow, you know, she's really, you know, she's of this, she's large or she's whatever. It was more like, this is actually, you know, there's something about her. Let's just take a moment. Let's not judge. Let's not do anything. Let me not, you know, talk about this woman or think about this woman in a way that's kind of sexual, because, you know, for many things, you know, I've been single for a while, so
just put it out there.
Just put it on the table there.
Do us a favour there, George. I don't want to interrupt you, mate, but just explain, draw us a picture. Like, okay, so because you had the same experience then, where you saw like, you know, both of us sort of, our thing is hopefully not a overtly large woman that we're generally necessarily attracted to. So paint us the picture.
Okay,
how did it happen yesterday?
So this lady, she, actually I'll give you a better one. It's actually not a large lady. It was a very skinny lady. She was very slim. She was wearing very tight yoga pants, and I was riding my bike. She was walking in front of me, and the first thing that would usually go in my mind is like, wow, this honey is skinny, bro. Like, you know,
too thin. So
too thin.
So the exact sort of converse of being too large. Then another.
Got to make her a meal and
which boils down to pretty much the same thing that we were talking about, though, which is it doesn't matter if it's large. I mean, large just happens to be what we were using as sort of a case in point, right? Yeah. I mean, there is also the thing of, okay, well, you know, she may just be an absolutely awesome person, but now she's too thin as well, because it's not on our sort of preconceived printed idea of what we think we like.
Yeah, so instead of like, oh, wow, she's too skinny, like she's got to be, you know, fed a little bit, I was just, there could be 100,000 reasons why she's like that. Who am I to judge this woman? And we're talking about women because that's what we're talking about.
No, that was it was part and parcel of the podcast.
And you know,
I keep clearing my throat. I've got a frog in it, but we'll just have to deal with it today, unfortunately.
Flying buggers everywhere.
Yeah.
So it's just, I was just aware. I was just conscious of the thoughts that were going on in my head, and it wasn't the first thought, which was, "Ooh, this lady's honey. This lady is fine. I would like to get into the bed with her." It was more like, okay, she is very slim. However, she's probably a really,
I mean, you say slim,
decent person, skinny.
Like, let's get graphic here because that gets the point across. So it was like borderline anorexic kind of thing.
Borderline anorexic. Right. She was like her knees were sticking out, her bones, she was wearing these very tight yoga pants, like I said, and you could see the outsides of her knees. You could see her ankles like really exposed there, and not just see them, but the form of the pants coming over, like it was just the shadows being created by the sun. It was just
that what the sun does, by
it creates shadows.
Shadow. Yeah. All right. So and okay. So conversely, then it was just something that you thought you didn't like, right?
Yeah. But this was actually, you know what? The biggest thing for me was I could approach her. Whereas before, I would think of that person and I would judge that person, and there wouldn't be a setup for a conversation. This time round there was a slight first impression, but it was pushed away, and I was like, she's probably quite a decent woman. And all of a sudden, there was a space for conversation. There was a space to start a conversation.
Should there need have been? I mean, did you start a conversation?
No, I didn't.
but it's cool. I get you, man. It's like that energetic thing.
Yeah.
Right. So coming off ourselves as individuals, like it happens with me too. So if I'm being slightly judgmental, there's an automatic block. Boom.
Yeah.
You
it
know,
just
I'm
felt easier. It felt like there was no pressure to just speak to this person.
Yeah, and she looked and felt like a real person, and
yeah,
you put the judgment.
And then I went past her, and she looked at me, and she gave me a very awkward look, and I just kept writing.
She's probably like this douchebag staring at me from behind.
She definitely
analyzing my knobbly knees, mate.
Yeah, she probably could sense that.
But I think I get you there, man. I think I understand that it's that sense of judgment that has disappeared, you know, and that creates a block. I mean, even on the tube today. You know, we often talk about people being so miserable on the tubes and the trains, and oftentimes maybe they are. You know, and it's so easy to get sucked in and drawn into that and get on the train or the tube and go, these guys are fucking miserable. They're just going to be fucking miserable. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But today, everybody I looked at just looked sort of quite tired and content. So I took a tube from Balham to South Wimbledon. And I also didn't have that inherent feeling of... It's quite difficult to describe, but judgment's probably the best thing that I can come up with right now. But with that judgment comes a certain amount of, stuff you. You know, or
certain amount of expectation.
Or like it's you and me here. Yeah. You know what I mean? And we're against each other kind of thing.
Yeah.
Whereas today it was completely different.
It was taking the expectation out of the equation. Yeah. Sure, there's still a little judgment. I mean, we can't help it. But you take that expectation out and all of a sudden there's a clear playing ground.
Yeah. I think it can be helped to some degree.
Yeah.
I mean, that actually, good story that reminds me of that thing, and I know I introduced you to it as well. It's called the Moses Code.
Moses Code, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, did you watch that? Did you watch the video?
I don't think so, because I would probably know.
Okay, Google it later. It's on YouTube. It's called the Moses Code.
Okay.
And basically, what it is it's sort of based in religion because Moses was in the Bible and a religious figure, but it isn't necessarily religious. It's quite philosophical. And I got dragged to church quite a bit when I was a kid, so I got a bit of a mental block there, to be quite honest. I'm not a fan of organized religion, but I am spiritual. And I believe that there's something greater than myself. So I don't know the story completely because I didn't fucking dog-ear the Bible, and read it from end to end. Yeah. But it's I think it's Moses. No, anybody can correct me as well if I'm wrong, but Moses goes up to Mount Sinai or something like that.
Yeah, sounds right.
Where he goes up and there's a burning bush and he's like talking to God.
Yes.
And I think at some stage Moses kind of says to him, God, who are you? Or what are you? And then the voice, or God, or whatever it is, sort of says back to him, I am that I am. Or I am that I am, actually, is how it first came across. I am that I am. Have you ever heard that sort of saying in church?
I am that I am.
Yeah. So it almost sounds...
I went to a Greek Orthodox church and everything was in Greek, so it was probably said that.
Right. So, I remember hearing that as a kid as well, and it's, I am that I am. I'm like, what does that mean, bro? Who even says that? But what they reckon the Moses Code is a comma. Right? So, I am that I am becomes I am that I am. Which means I am basically everything that I see. So we walk around as individuals, and as a test, everybody you look at, everything you look at it and go, I am that.
Yeah.
I am. It completely changes the dynamic. I am that I am sort of creates this idea of this sort of massive false deity and just like this all-encompassing power, which as far as I understand it is what God is supposed to be in the Bible as well. I am that I am. But it almost sounds like he's saying, listen, stuff off, China. Why are you asking me that question?
Yeah.
Like, I'm almost too important with an answer like, I am that I am. Just don't ask me who I am, but I am. Do you know what I mean? So I can accept it and get on with it. But the Moses Code is a comma. And the comma is put in after that, I am that. And then it's comma, I am. So I am that.
I am.
I am. So whenever I look at somebody who looks miserable or looks aggressive or looks cross or does something that I think is not very cool, or even something, just anything happening, if I walk down the street and I look at everything, I go, I am that. I am that. I am. It takes away most, if not all, of the judgment that I feel. Because I'm that person too.
Yeah. It's fantastic to put you into a space of humility as well, man.
Yeah.
A space of fuck. Like, I'm feeling this, I've got this problem, and this person's giving me a swift look, and that person's being a proper douchebag, and then you say, I ask, am I that person? And I'm not that person. But wait, hold on a second. I am that person because I have done that in my life. And all of a sudden, those feelings of resentment or maybe anger or depression kind of melt away. It's like
Blame's a big one.
Pain as well.
Denial,
definitely.
Yeah. So you can consciously walk down the street or wherever you go, look at everybody that you see, happy, sad, cross, otherwise, and go, you know what, I am that. I am. It just leaves no space for any of the negative shit, And sooner or later, like a little epiphany should hopefully happen. Yeah, granted, there are some people that do things that I wouldn't do.
Yeah.
And there are some people that behave in ways that I would not behave, but I'm not a saint either. But at the same time, then, we are pretty much the same thing. Any of that is possible. It could have been me. So I'm not going to judge you for it.
True that.
And so in a way, it kind of reverts back to the conversation we were having in the first time, Again, if anybody's listening to this and they haven't listened to it already, just go back and give it a listen. It was just random sort of guy stuff, and that's what all these things are going to be about. But yeah, how does that grab you, man?
It puts me definitely into a better perspective. Also, just kind of acknowledging something that happens every day, all the time, and then questioning it, like, geez, this is actually beneficial. This is positive to my well-being. And not only to my well-being, but does this transcend onto other people? Does this get noticed by the people? And the fact that from our first podcast talking about that, 2 days later, seeing that change happening, sure, it's not a massive change, but it's a change nonetheless.
It's a move towards self-awareness.
And the Moses Code, guys, seriously, it's powerful. The Moses Code is really powerful, and you don't have to be religious or...
Well, you haven't seen it yet, but...
I haven't seen it yet, but you have told me. You have told me a while back, and I was actually doing that. Especially, taking rides on the tube in the deep underground. I've got to be resilient at times, because people down there can get very, very quiet and very moody.
Yeah, it can make life difficult.
It makes life super difficult at times. And just asking that question, I am that person, and seeing what happens, just for shits and giggles, to see what comes up. And like, no, I'm not that person. But if you really thought about it and really gave it some time, So man, for me, it's a lovely tool.
I mean, it's still. I'm not entirely sure if that's going to help. I'm probably never going to date a fat chick. I'm just saying.
But we're more
more compassionate to also what might be going on underneath you. Just like you never know.
Yeah, more empathetic.
It's just it's a sort of natural wiring, of human beings and the social structure that we live in. Dude. I mean, Ryan Macklemore, in one of his songs with Ryan Lewis, it's about a different topic, but it's about sort of how people the society generally hates gay people and so on, and how people think that being gay is a man-made predisposition, and so it just sort of, I mean, a lot of our predispositions are just man-made anyway, the way we think and things like that. So interesting stuff. So we've grown a little bit. I mean, and hopefully with any luck, I mean, we're just going to keep on moving through this, you know. So talking about that, actually, in fact, I mean, and more to the point, maybe a slightly different topic for today. You know, not knowing what's going on with people and what's going on in people's lives and things like that. A lot of people often struggling. We were talking yesterday about something as well, which is what we do. And I was also, again, this is back to me a little bit because I'm struggling. I'm just having a couple of really shit days and I haven't been feeling very good. But so we sort of said something quite funny yesterday and said, how do we talk ourselves out of feeling shitty?
Yeah.
So for all intents and purposes, that's probably what the title of today's podcast is going to be, is how do you talk yourself out of feeling shitty?
Yeah.
You know, one of the ways to do that is to probably watch something like the Moses Code, you know, or pay attention to what's happening internally. But it's quite an interesting scenario that, I mean, I find, like, you know, and you and I, as guys, I know I can speak for both of us here because we come from a sort of specific background and a network that encourages guys sort of speaking out a little bit more, you know. So I think maybe in a way we make a little bit more of an effort about trying to talk and pinpoint our feelings, but it's still hard as fuck. Yeah. And it's very difficult when so much is going on to be able to establish what it is that's making one feel bad.
Yeah.
You know. So where would you start with that then? So how do we talk ourselves? Talking there. Oh, there goes my phone. Whoops. All right. I'm gonna take out the battery. It's just amateur mistake here, man. Absolutely amateur mistake.
Yeah, it's okay.
Rookie error. You know. So yeah. That how do we talk ourselves out of feeling shitty? First thing for me then as well is like my first reaction, my default reaction when I'm feeling shit is actually not to talk at all. You know what I mean?
Just have a moment, sit in that. See.
Dude, sit in that was not even my first fucking reaction. Like, dude, that is something I've only heard later, is to sit with the feeling. I mean, but also, who wants to sit with the feeling? Fuck that, it feels shit.
Yeah.
You know? But if I think about my first reaction, it's definitely not to talk about it. Like, what's wrong? Nothing, man. You know? Like, dude, what's wrong? Nothing, bro.
Yeah.
You know? Half the time, I'm not even sure that I know. You know, what's wrong. So, that's an interesting one. I mean, they go back to basics on that, you know?
Back to basics, yeah. Yeah, man. Shitty feeling. Yeah, man. Depends on like what's making you feel and the how heavy it is, what it is. But I think for me, I usually a starting point is, I know people are far worse off than me, and I know it sounds cliched, but it really helps put things in perspective sometimes. Knowing that okay, sure, other people in a bad situation, but then I bring it back to me and just think I'm actually quite fortunate to be in this position to make a decision. So there's power in that decision. And right now the decision that I'm making is to feel shit. So what if I decide not to choose to feel like that? And I want to feel positive, feel joyous, and know that's not really going to happen right now, but just having the power to decide, I think is a good, for me, is a good place to start off with. But I think I want to agree with you on that, Brad. Like, not talking about it because I don't really want to share my shitty feelings and shitty vibes with people. It's rather what's making me feel shit. I like to kind of try to figure it out on my own. But to get out of it, knowing that I can choose to get out of it. So how would I get out of it? Doing exercise, getting physical, taking a walk, smelling, using my senses, maybe just having a little sleep.
Those sort of things work for you.
Yeah, I've found they help. Not all the time, but
are you able to easily isolate what it is that's making you feel shit?
At times, no.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of the problem as well, right?
Yeah.
And that's where that whole theory of sit with the feeling comes from.
Yeah.
I mean, I only sort of discovered that a couple of years ago, recently, whereas the base instinct is to like try and do something that gets me away from that feeling, or what I think makes it disappear. Yeah, that can oftentimes come in acting out in all sorts of mad ways, man. But it's interesting, and based on this as well. I mean, this probably will just fucking spank the entire theory. But I mean, I've heard it said more than once as well that neurologically and physiologically, as human beings, there's actually nothing that can make us feel either anxious or afraid or angry. It's our reaction to the things that happen around us. And that is based on like this imprint that we've grown up with. What was placed on us by our parents, by society, by what people tell us is acceptable, what isn't acceptable, by what somebody may have done to us at the wrong time.
Sure.
Chick broke up with you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Or like some chick that really hurt your feelings. Seriously, like this band. I've heard this example used before as well. Right? Go back to like high school. And it's like an awesome band. But forever, 10 years after that, I fucking hate this band. I just don't want to listen to this band. But it can be like a legendary band. Like Smashing Pumpkins. But because some chick hurt your feelings and she liked that band, automatically the association is there. So it's things like that sort of become the catalyst and the spark to what make us feel bad. Now, bad feelings are bad either way you look at it.
Yeah.
But there is nothing in the world that can cause us to feel any kind of negative feeling. And I suppose, in the same fashion, maybe there's nothing that can make us feel good. It's just our reaction to it. Now, the things that make us feel good, getting into the sciences, it's not my issue, bro. But it's interesting. But bad feelings often take people to very bad places because they don't do, the first thing that's recommended. And the title of like what we're going to call this today, like talking yourself out of a shitty feeling, probably important because one of the things that I've learned is that the best thing to do is to talk to somebody about it. The problem with that is that that's absolutely the last thing that I feel like doing when it's happening. When I'm feeling a certain way.
Another question is like, why do we feel that it's not important to share that with other people? I'm sure we've got people that we can trust and turn to. Or, like what I saw that lady doing on the park bench the other day, probably talking to herself. She was probably in a shit mood and just was talking to herself.
What happened there?
She was just on her own, sitting on a bench talking, and I thought she was on these like Bluetooth headsets.
Yeah, man, that was so friggin' last decade, man.
But or something, because there was no wires, there was no nothing, and she was just talking.
She was connected.
She was connected to the universe out there. She was connected to something else, and
maybe she was connected.
She was upset, but she was just talking, and she wasn't shouting. She wasn't. She was just having a conversation with herself.
Was it a constructive conversation? Did you get to hear it?
I didn't hear much of it. I heard a couple of words.
But
her tone was
this the woman
upset.
you were talking about that might have had Tourette's?
No. That was someone else. Yeah, that was
fuck shit, asshole prick.
That was quite funny.
Yeah,
but not funny. And it was really fascinating to see, because I could see that she was in a bit of a rut, and she was talking to herself, and I wasn't sure if she was mad or not, but then she slowly calmed down, and after a while she was just gazing up into the air, gazing around her, and she seemed a little bit more...
In fairness, that could have been some kind of narcotic, mate. Did she look like she was on drugs? It could have been.
No, she didn't have rolling eyes.
You gotta make space for that as well.
There were no holes anywhere, or poke marks or anything.
No, different kinds of drugs, bro.
Yeah.
Different kinds of drugs,
No, she looked like, she was probably in her late 40s, in a suit, like a skirt with stockings, and
so quite neat, like
quite a
businesswoman
looking. Yeah,
I mean, that doesn't matter though. I suppose issues affect everybody. So in other words, she was talking out with herself.
She was, yeah. Just to follow through on what you said there, and it makes sense. And when I was in Joburg, like I used to, when I was driving, when I'd get upset or have a little bit of road rage, and inside the car, I would just scream, and I called it the banshee cry. And
oh man, I've done that.
I would just
turn the radio up and just close the windows and belt it out.
Yeah, and it was just so freaking good, man. It was just wow. Okay, it's that I expended that energy, that thing's making me, and here we go. It's out now. Okay, sure. For hectic situations, it would just be a start. But that was called the banshee cry, banshee scream. And it was. Yeah, I haven't done it in a while.
Maybe it's time, man.
It's time. And maybe it doesn't have to be such a big thing. I mean, I'm trying to think of an example where.
Yeah, I mean, look, I feel so like the thing that I was feeling yesterday. And it's been with me for a couple of days now. Man, I've got a lot going on, and it all boils down to A, what we were talking about the other night on the first recording as well. B, you and I at the moment, or just to give some details, are in a situation where we start our lives again at a specific age, in a different country, and it all kind of adds to it, And even knowing about social pressures and things like that, those things kind of add up. Trying hard to do something, and then realizing, after investing a little bit in it, that it might not be the right thing. So it's all of these things all together. And if it's not dealt with, it can become problematic. So talking it out is always a good thing, and this is what I've learned. But again, if I was to give like you any advice, I would always say to you, bro, come and talk to me about it. But if it's me, on the other hand, when I'm feeling shitty, I'm like, dude, I just don't want to fucking talk about it. Because I feel like a bit ashamed, and like there's going to be some judgment. Just go back and watch the Moses Code. I am that.
Certain feelings that are associated with that, and it's tough to break away from it.
Yeah, so it's important to talk stuff out, really, isn't it? I'd say probably find somebody you trust. One of the first things I do, though, is I would probably just, again, I've learned to sit with it, so that I'm not reacting, on that type of thing. And that can be quite beneficial. And then actually after a day or two, it kind of filters it out. But in a society where you have to get up and go to freaking work every day and be bombarded by, let's be honest, a bunch of people that are full of fucking shit.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time on the tubes, people are fucking miserable, and there is negative energy here. It totally is. So we've got to find ways of releasing in a constructive manner, or at least processing in such a way that it becomes a lesson. Because I believe that there's a gift in everything. Got to kind of get through it, as opposed to just tapping into the rage, kind of giving up or giving into it, rage or whatever it is. I mean, some people go for drugs, other people go for alcohol, some people go for sex, some people go for fighting. So it's interesting. Talking yourselves out of feeling shitty. How do we talk ourselves out of feeling shitty? And I guess one of the ways to do that is to encourage conversation. Which is kind of what we do. We sit and we have conversations, which is where this whole idea came from, just to kind of record them. And this will, with any luck, and I believe it will, this will develop and manifest into something really fantastic. But at the moment, all it really is us talking about the shit that we're feeling.
And that's the 100%, man. That's, it's good. It's beneficial to talk. Let it off. I think, at times, I speak for myself here, like, talking about things is, there's a little bit of shame there, like, does this person really have to hear my shit? Does this person need to listen to this? I find even if that person just holds a space, just doesn't say anything, it helps as well. I think some women are very good at doing that. I found some of my women friends that just hold that space. But obviously, if I'm feeling shitty, I can't go to someone and say, just hold the space for me.
Yeah, you're not kind of thinking, listen,
This is for me.
This is what I want to do right now. And I want you to be over there. Just there. No, a little bit to the left. Don't fucking move.
Thank you. Now I'm feeling better.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And probably, I mean, yeah. Okay, finish up what you were saying.
Yeah, no, and I think just to hold that space and
it takes courage to do that.
It takes courage, yeah.
And then again, there's some things that may be easier just to tell a dude. I mean, you talk about women. But you got to get to that point where you feel like fucking talking about it in the first place.
Yeah.
But it can be so disruptive otherwise, man.
Yeah.
You know?
I think being here in London, there's a certain mentality. It's a generalization here, but I feel most men are quite desensitized with regards to their.
There's a lot of superficiality and shallowness, but I think, that's all over the world. And it's like a third world problem anyway, quite frankly. Some people are just spoiled.
Yeah.
But having said that, I am that. I am.
There we go.
Do you know what I mean?
There we go, right there, man. Yeah, I am that. Am I really that? Let me think about that.
All I can really do is to try and control my world.
Yeah.
Not even control, actually. The funny thing is that by trying to control something, that often creates the bad feelings.
Yeah.
Because it creates a level of expectation that doesn't get met. So whether it's completely consciously, sometimes subconsciously, or inadvertently, for me, it's important to watch for a level of trying to somehow control an outcome. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's, again, it boils down to the expectation as well. Getting rid of that expectation, maybe feeling shitty. There's something that we get out of feeling shitty. Oh man, this is a fun topic. This is a very interesting topic because
it's going to be a complete contrast
Yeah.
from what we spoke about last time. But it delves into different things. I mean, you know, some of these are going to be funny as fuck.
Yeah.
So there's no reason why not. But, you know, it is everyday rough conversations. It's just stuff that we talk about, you know. And I'll encourage everybody else as well. You get a chance to listen to this. You know, if you're having similar experiences or you have suggestions on how you deal with certain things, or even if you're just finding it interesting or you identify or resonate, the Twitter handle now, there's a new Twitter handle. It's at roughchat1. We also have roughconversations@gmail.com. And yeah, it's going to be on SoundCloud, and there's a Facebook page as well. So we're still kind of getting into the whole social media thing and attracting as much attention to it as possible. But by all means, you know, leave us your comments, and you know, maybe you know somebody who's struggling with some stuff. Let's see what we can do. You know, I mean, my background is, you know, I mean, I have background in 12-step programs and things like that. You know, I've got no problem like divulging that information. I mean, I was depressed as fuck when I was a kid. You know, I mean, even coming into like adulthood, there was a lot of depression and stuff around that. Moment now, things are great, but having said that, I mean, it's a real issue. So if you are feeling shitty and you can't figure out a way to talk yourself out of it, or if you have some advice or anything, or any topic you'd like us just to talk about, or maybe you'd like to talk to us, we'll Skype you in. It's at roughchat1, or at roughconversations@gmail.com, or on Facebook at roughconversations.
Don't be shy, guys.
Yeah.
That's me saying that.
the shy
like
guy.
the shy guy.
The shy guy.
Yeah,
I think there's that element of shyness in all of us anyway. I mean, just there's a lot of the things I do these days when it comes to the stuff that I'm quite emotional about is I just take a chance, man.
Yeah.
And like, I know that there's a chance that this could work out or not work out in my favor. I know that there's a chance that this person could just completely fucking chew it up and spit it back out at me. It could be any person for anything at any time, but I'm in a space where I take risks now because I've felt some of the benefit of taking a risk. Actually, some of the benefit, a hell of a lot of benefit of taking the risk of speaking to people. You know, there are certain things that I used to carry around with me all the time. And, you know, finally, I mean, I was shaking, dude, the one day when I got to the point where I had to divulge some information to somebody. And I'd been told that this is the way to heal myself. And I just swore that there were certain things that I was never going to tell anybody. And I was just, fuck it, they don't need to know. But it was eating me up. And eventually I got to the stage where, like, I had to be honest, you know, through the 12-step programs and things like that. You know, it was alcohol and drugs and all of that sort of thing. And I was shaking, dude. Like, I was so terrified of telling this person. And eventually I got it out. And they were like, dude, is that it? Then they told me a story about themselves, you know. And something that had happened which was just as embarrassing, but probably just as natural, you know. And it started this whole sort of plateau, and this sort of entry into like a more peaceful and serene place than I'd ever been used to or even knew existed before. So definitely talking it out, you know. And if you're anything like me, there's absolutely going to be a feeling of risk because it's not a default setting for me, you know. So it's a really risky thing, and you know, shame is associated, but unjustly so. You know, I mean, who says that these are things that need to be felt shameful about or need to be felt embarrassed about it because of a social construct or a social imprint that's been put on us? You know, so talking yourselves out of feeling shitty, man.
Yeah, I can relate to that. Yeah. Social constructs. That's a big one. It's a very big one. I'm breaking out of that. That's a biggie. Just, you know, also believing in yourself.
That's another rookie mistake there. Would you just let the pen?
I did just roll it. And
if we were in a studio right now,
I would have my fucking knuckles smacked for that. Yeah.
That's all good.
I got a feeling that this is gonna soak in, and in our next podcast will be a bit more on this. For now, guys, I think I can say that believing in myself is a big one.
Sorry, go for it.
Yeah.
No,
I hear you because this is unwrapping.
No, dude. I just felt like I was being a douchebag. I was just gonna say there's our housemates outside the door. They're making a noise, and then I realized that you were on the precipice of some really fucking important shit. And I did the absolute dumbass thing of interrupting you, and I'm so sorry, mate. So carry on.
So yeah, you know, my background was also. I felt that hiding away was the best thing, and you know, obviously growing up, doing some work on myself and figuring out better ways of communication and you know, ultimately getting out of the shit space of frame of mind, realizing that belief, and every day now beginning more and more to realize that belief is huge, and to believe in myself that I can do this, that I can do that my actions have a massive impact on myself and others. And I never used to believe in myself when I was younger. I believed in what everyone else said. So in a way, when I'm feeling shit now, it's like, where's that coming from? Is that me? Is that someone else? Is that, you know, and then coming up with actually, let's believe in myself and get myself out of this. Sometimes it's been more trickier. Other times it's quite easy because I see it's just superficial. It's nonsense.
Well, it's not nonsense in the way I think that we feel about stuff. But I think I understand what you're saying about nonsense is that it's actually just a man-made thing.
Yeah, it's someone else said something and I'm taking it personally.
Yeah, you know. So Ken Robinson says, look, he says there was a quote that he quotes on from somebody else. So this is just a recycled quote, and somebody just said that, you know, the thing is if that in 50 years' time, if all the insects and bees and birds, like all of that sort of stuff disappears, in 50 years' time there'll be no planet left. You know, it'll die. Everything will die. If the human race gets wiped out, in 50 years' time, everything will flourish. You know what I mean? Yeah. In fact, as humans, all we do is pretty much destroy shit. You know, and that's one of the things. I mean, everybody teases because they think they should, you know, or because they think it makes them feel better or something. I don't know. Yeah. It's this sort of social ideal, you know. People to trust everybody under the age of 7 and everybody over the age of 80. Oh. Because everybody under the age of 7 can do anything. Yeah. They know they can. They believe they can. I did, bro. I could fly, dude. You know, somebody asked me if I was the strongest man in the world. I was, dude. Yeah. Somebody asked me if I was going to be an astronaut. I fucking was. You know what I mean? Am I fast? Can I? Yes, I can run, dude. Yeah. Up to the age of 6. They're from, you know, because school starts at that age as well. Yeah. So like 7. All of a sudden you're surrounded by a whole bunch of kids and you realize, okay, cool, there is actually people stronger than me. There is actually people faster than me. So it's a it becomes a man-made stroke / self-imposed limitation. Because we still can't actually do anything. And that's where dreams come from. People over the age of 80, the reason I trust them, you know why? Because they've lived for so long. They've lived for so long they don't give a fuck anymore. Everybody else in between, 7 and 80, we're stuck in this social, go to work, do this, sit in an office, sit in a cubicle, must be like this, must be like that. This is acceptable, this isn't acceptable. Piss off. You know what I mean? ADHD isn't a freaking syndrome.
No, it's not.
It's creative people. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Just call them sick so you can put them in a freaking category to try and understand them. So everybody over the age of 80 has lived for so long, I think they just realize they don't have the time left anymore, so they don't give a shit. If they don't like you, they're going to tell you. Yeah. Don't have the time to waste. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And
we can all do absolutely anything we want, mate, but at the same time, it doesn't take away from the fact that we have to outgrow or somehow try and outlearn what's been imprinted on our, like, basically on our psyche, subconscious, and our nervous system. Yeah.
Unlearn what we learned at school. How when?
Yo. For anyone who's not South African listening, that's just a little bit of a Zulu exclamation. Yeah. You know?
So sometimes just the noises kind of substitute for words.
Yeah. Just a little exclamation.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I'm feeling better. I don't know about you guys.
I feel like maybe I sort of interrupted there a couple of times when you were into the swing of things, so I apologize for that. Also, just get quite excited. I'll let you talk a bit more next time.
So, you know, we spur each other on, and you know, I'll have my moment one day. I'll talk. But for now, I've said my piece, and you know, there will probably be more stuff that I remember. This is all quite new to me, so I'm still getting the hang of it. But yeah, I think...
there's nothing to get the hang of, dude. This is just a conversation.
It's just a conversation. That's right.
You know what I mean? It's just a recorded conversation. But yeah, man. All right, cool, bro. Yeah, so, you know, for what it's worth right now, how to talk yourself out of feeling shitty. I'd say probably start by talking.
Yeah.
You know, even if you go and talk it out to a tree, you know, that's the best thing.
Believe in yourself, man.
Speak it out loud, dude.
As well.
Speak it out loud. And eventually you can talk yourself out of feeling shitty. You know? Absolutely. Fucking rocket science stuff right there.
Yeah. Well, if that doesn't work, go for a run. Do a few push-ups. Because, you know, in the end, it's you. It's your actions, your energy's been put out into your environment, and you know, you can change that. You have the power to change that. So
yeah. All right, bud. So I'll tell you what. We'll wrap it up this time. We're on 49 minutes now. It's been a good conversation between you and I, anyhow, bro. More to come, dude. And we have no idea at any stage what the topic's going to be. It could be something completely freaking whack. Maybe next time we'll come to you from the top of the London Eye, or from London Bridge or London Tower. So we're just going to do some random stuff. Yeah. But yeah, this is a good conversation today, leading on from what we spoke about last time. So guys, at RoughChat1 on Twitter, roughconversations@gmail.com. You can address them to either Brad or George.
Cool. That's me. Brad, thank you very much, man.
Thanks, buddy.
That was a cool
Yeah,
session.
the cave that you fear to enter holds the treasure that you seek. That's Joseph Campbell. Guys, don't overdo it, do it over. Have yourselves a fantastic one. This is Brad, otherwise known as Brad T, and George, otherwise known as
Georgie.
Georgie X.
Georgie X, there we go.
Peace out, guys. Have yourselves a fantastic one. Love you a long time. Bye-bye.